that judging by the personality that Jesse Marsch has, and you've seen him in his interviews, and it's not a personality I particularly buy into, but his up and atom rhetoric, the Al Pacino sort of Any Given Sunday narrative that he was pumping out for us to listen to via whatever broadcaster would play it, sort of plays into the idea of great enthusiasm and passion and determination, and it might then interview well on the basis of, I'm not what you think I am, and I'm also determined to prove what happened at Leeds was completely and utterly wrong. I get the impression, and I know Leeds fans aren't going to like this, that it's a bit of a dog's dinner over at Leeds behind the scenes in terms of who's doing what, when, how, and why. You've got an owner exiting the door with potential sales of players that possibly the new coming owners don't want him to sell, and so on and so forth. So I think there's a lot of left hand and right hand stuff going on over there.
Yeah.
And I'd be surprised. I don't think there's a list of managers, despite what we think. I think these clubs are really struggling to find a manager and find a name that can supersede names that have played in the Premier League, despite the debate. And I also think the final part of the component is, I don't think they'll give them a long contract. And I think it will give them an opportunity to hold fault, make some sense. And I think that if I'm Southampton, and I'm trying to second guess, I know them, I know the guys over there, and I'm not necessarily plugged into exactly what they're thinking, but putting things together and working them backwards, I would suggest that there is an element of needs must, who's better, what framework are we working under, what sort of contract can we get away with, does it make sense to us in a bigger picture despite the optics of it. Now let's also not forget that we are sitting here hailing Sean Dyche as an all-conquering hero to save Everton, and his last piece of work was ultimately to be very close to relegating Burnley, and the team that was under his tutelage got relegated.
Right,
albeit they fired him before that was happening.
Yeah.
So there is an element of people get fired from bottom three jobs. Burnley fired Sean Dyche when they were in the bottom three or bottom four. Everton have employed him when they're in the bottom three to get them out of the hole. The only difference is Sean Dyche has a bigger body of work and Jesse Marsch is an American.
But Marsch got Leeds United out of the hole last time around.
Oh, come on. Let's look at what went down last year.
Well, I
agree.
agree.
Were very poor sides.
No, but he kept them up. To be fair to him, he kept them up.
By the very last game of the season with the Brentford side that were on the beach.
Southampton fans getting in touch in big numbers. There's one no name in this message. I'm a Southampton fan. I think Marsch is the best of a bad bunch. Simon says we have to be realistic in who we can appoint. We're sat bottom of the Premier League, more than likely going to get relegated, but at least with Marsch, he's someone you can get behind, unlike Jones. Nathan Jones, sorry if you're listening this morning. Todd's a big Southampton fan. Todd, are you having Marsch?
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Simon.
Morning, Todd.
Love you both and love the show. Thanks very much for doing it.
Thank you,
Todd.
Honestly.
Thank you. What do you think of this then, mate?
I've got some good and negative points, right? The board, right, have backed the club massively financially over the last 12 months, 18 months, all right? So you can't say anything bad about Sports Republic with how much money they spend. However, some of the money has gone in the wrong direction. Loads of young players with any Premier League experience and not enough experience coming into the side to help Prelsey and a couple of the other experienced members. However, we have to be real. I have to shout out to all Saints supporters, all right? We are at the bottom of the Premier League, all right? Okay? We have to be realistic with who we're going to bring in, okay? Jesse Marsch, I've watched a lot about him recently with interviews and behind the scenes. He is a motivator of people. He has got some good vision for what he's looking at doing. He comes from the same background as Ralph Hasenhüttl, all right? We need to go with Marsch at the moment, all right, for the next few years and back him to the halt to try and get ourselves out of this mess, back up the Premier League or back up next year out of the Championship.
Oh, wow,
and
Todd.
That's where I'm from.
You're one optimistic, positive man, and we're like that. I mean, you got to love that. There is a true supporter.
Well, absolutely, half full glass. Do you think your side that you watch every single week lacks application and motivation? Do you think that's part and parcel of the malaise that's got you in the position that you're in now, Todd?
I think I've got three. I have season tickets with two of my sons, so 3 season tickets. We're there every match, every home match, cup match. I think the players are working pretty hard. I think they have done for a few of the players. I just think there's been lots and lots of change within the club, and I just don't think there's enough experience. I really don't.
Well, the reason why I asked you, Todd, because the enthusiasm that Jesse Marsch will impart, because we never saw at Leeds United a lack of motivation from the players. We saw a lack of outcome and a lack of ability to win games. So if you're not suffering from a lack of motivation and application, I'm slightly concerned that, because my bigger picture would be Southampton, the players aren't playing for Nathan Jones. They've dropped tools. If that's not the case, then the organisational structure of the team worries me, because I don't think Jesse Marsch produced a particularly organised lead side.
No, but what the board will be seriously looking at, right, is that this will bring these players are mainly under Ralph. Okay.
Yeah.
Now Jesse obviously comes from the Red Bull background, as you very much know. If this guy's going to come back in and bring a similar football to what Ralph was doing, all right, with his injection of his own personal positivity within the camp,
yeah.
Right, I think it will give everyone a lift. They know the systems that Ralph played. We did play some good football under Ralph. It went sour towards the end, but we did play some good football.
Okay.
All right? So that is in the tank. So there's every reason to be positive, but we have to remember we're 20th in the Premier League. Let's be realistic.
Todd, that was a great call. We want to thank you for your time and thank you for your content. I love that. David Smith, a regular contributor to this show. Jim Simon, okay. So we're talking Marsch to Southampton. All right, what about Hasenhüttl for Leeds? Who knows? John's a big Leeds fan. What about Hasenhüttl for your lot, John? Good morning.
John, I'm not as optimistic as Todd, and I certainly wouldn't be with Hasenhüttl.
All right. What's your take on this?
My take is, I think there's a Red Bull connection, and also you've got the fact that Marsch got us up, kept us up last year, all by the skin of the teeth. But Marsch is a lovely guy and he talks a great story, but you look at how we're playing now. We've got so many great wingers and we're playing with width. We had those same wingers, Nonto and Somerville, tearing people apart, but he was playing narrow. We've just lost. We've got 1 point out of the last 2 games. But they're against the most informed team in the country.
But John, here's one for you though, mate. Sorry to interrupt you. How will you feel if Marsch and Southampton survive and you guys go down?
I'd be gutted, but I can't see it. I don't think Marsch is the guy. For me, it's a joke at Ellen Road at the moment. You got Rabadon. He's done brilliant for the club. He's bought the ground back. He's bought Thorpe Arch back. But him and the 49ers, it doesn't work now, the metrics. We've gone after all these managers. Obviously, Southampton have seen that, which is why there's no point in going after Slot or Gallardo or the Falcano guy. I'll just give it to Scubala until the end of the season. At the end of the season, there'll be more managerial opportunities.
I see.
You get different people.
So John, you'd give it to Michael Scubala and the development coach Paco Gallardo and Chris Armas. Take us to the end of the season, right?
Well, I don't see any option. We've got all we're doing is accepting second best because we've been turned down by so many.
Okay, John, listen.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.